Hi there to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. in Douala. It's time for the news. We thank you so much for joining us. Our major stories right away as the Anglophone crisis continues to claim lives in the northwest and southwest regions. Human rights actors and legal minds say enough is enough. Barrister Salai, a human rights defender, in the press conference in Yaoundé, sings it's time those fueling the war in the northwest and southwest regions from out of Cameroon be brought to brook out justice. You will listen to him in this edition of the news. And in health from Yaoundé, bedbugs seem to be invading homes in the economic capital Douala, precisely in the Douala 4 municipality. The mayor confirms at least 2 homes have been infested by bedbugs. And now, what precautionary measures should be taken? We will tell you more also in this edition of the news, so stay with us. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. We begin this edition of the news in the northwest region, precisely in Bamenda, where fire ravaged several shops at the Bamenda main market, and the business persons continue to count their losses. At the heart of Bamenda, the main market lies in ruins with over 300 shops burnt to ashes, while hospitals also received about 30 persons with various injuries as a result of that incident caused by trauma. Let's now have more with our Northwest Regional Correspondent, Bustela.
The dawn of this Friday only exposes the havoc the white flames of last evening have caused at the Bamenda main market. This morning, locals sift through the ruins of what were once their livelihoods, searching for anything salvageable.
Unfortunately, close to 300 shops were destroyed by the fire. And it is still a temporary figure. After the fire incident, many patients were received at the level of the hospitals, close to 30 of them. But all of them went back to their houses because they were mostly traumatized. No death as of now has been recorded.
Visiting the market today were local and regional authorities convening meetings to strategize on rebuilding efforts.
If the burning of the market went that far yesterday was because of lack of means for the fire brigade to go in and do their work the way they were supposed to do. If the building was decked, that fire would have been contained in one shop wherever it started. But unfortunately, because it's still very porous, it's still the 1950-something construction, that's why it went that far.
A scene of resilience and determination unfolds at the Bamenda main market as the community comes together to rebuild, with the hope that the state will intervene to assist the affected traders. There is equally an urgent need for the layout of all the markets within Bamenda city to be modernized, taking into consideration disaster preventive measures, given that they have all experienced white flames at one time or another, leading the population into economic hardships.
And now let's come back to what really happened, or how the fire incident began at the Bamenda main market that was yesterday. Stella, you tell us that most business persons watched helplessly as their shops were ravaged or burnt to ashes.
The fire, which began at approximately 5:30 p.m., originated from shops just in front of the main market in Bamenda, catching traders off guard as they were closing for the day. As night falls, the blaze showed no signs of relenting, engulfing over 70 shops. The cause of the fire remains a mystery, but the losses are already staggering. Hundreds of millions of francs CFA has been the estimated loss so far as the affected shops burned to ashes. Heartbreaking scenes unfolded as traders, some collapsing in despair, watched their livelihoods consumed by the inferno. rescue efforts battled to contain the flames, but the challenging layout of the Bamenda main market was a major hindrance to firefighters' progress. As the rescue operations intensified, Northwest Governor Adolphe Lele-Lafrique visited the site, urging calm in order to prevent further tragedy.
It's a very huge catastrophe for the city of Bamenda, and I would like to encourage the traders to remain hopeful and assuring that the government will come to their assistance. And we have already lost many properties. We are trying now to avoid losing a human life.
The night has been a long one for many city dwellers who have gathered to console those affected by the fire. Fire incidents around Bamenda city are gradually becoming a regular occurrence, prompting an urgent measure to reduce its impact on the population already facing an armed conflict resulting in economic shocks.
And now we talk about the war in the northwest and southwest regions. As the Anglophone crisis continues in the Twinnedy-speaking regions of the country, it continues also to claim lives. Human rights actors and legal minds say enough is enough. Barrister Salah in a press conference in Yaoundé thinks it's time for those fearing the war in the northwest and southwest regions, especially those who are residing out of the country, be brought to justice. He told us that the press conference was in the presence of the daughter of the late Florence Ayafo and other victims. Now let's listen to Barrister Emmanuel Salah in this excerpt.
Not just in remembrance of the horrific event that occurred in Cambe on February 11, 2024, but also in a collective stand against the forces that seek to divide and to destroy us. The terrorist attack of February 11, 2024 in Cambe, which mercilessly claimed an innocent 15-year-old life and injured and harmed over 50 innocent children, women, and people, is another step too far in this conflict. It is important when these events happen that we take a stand and that we respond accordingly to the forces of evil and terror that want to destroy our way of life in Cameroon, harm our innocent children and civilians, and hurt us all. In consideration of all the prior attacks, kidnappings, killings, murder that have occurred, we've tripled our efforts to bring those that seek to harm innocent civilians in the English-speaking regions, those that seek to kill and stop children from going to school. We've taken renewed efforts to bring them to justice, to hold them accountable for their actions wherever they are in the world. These human rights violations, these war crimes, are done by nationals of the European Union who live in these countries in the European Union, and thus the International Criminal Court must act. It is within their jurisdiction, and we will be following up with.
You're listening there to Barrister Emmanuel Salah, a human rights defender. And again, let's listen to him. He tells us that those fueling the war out of Cameroon are known, and they must be brought to justice. Once again, let's listen to him.
We have to fight together to stop these terrorist leaders who are hiding, not in Cameroon, but from far away, and financing ignorant guys, ignorant youths, brainwashing them to pick up guns and leading these boys to their inevitable death. But along the way, they harm and kill and destroy innocent lives, and according to UN records, deprive over 800,000 children from going to school. We're taking another stand. Enough is enough.
And now we stay in the northwest and southwest regions. Regional and local authorities in the crisis-hit Anglophone regions are expressing worries or serious concerns over the slow execution rates of some projects, which sometimes end up not being realized or completed. They say it is all because of the effects of the long-standing armed conflict in the northwest and the southwest regions alongside other factors. The administrators were speaking during a workshop which took place in Boya, grouping councillors and authorities from the Ministry of Finance held in the southwest region. Let's now have more with Lucidi Nguisie.
The 7-year-old armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of the country remains a stumbling block to regional and local councils who find it difficult to execute their projects at various levels. Aside this is the problem of poor project management by the government.
The manner in which they send projects to councils. I know the government is doing some efforts in calling the mayors, to present their projects, but there is still that tendency of the central government sending projects with descriptions which are not okay with, the council.
These challenges were presented during a workshop grouping regional and local authorities held in Boya's southwest region.
We are trying to make sure that decentralization takes its feet. And that is why the Ministry of Finance, together with all other ministries that in charge that have to do with decentralization, are here today to ensure that strict measures are being taken at the local level for the execution of budgets.
Equally expatiated on the circular letter signed by the Minister of Finance relating to the execution of budgets for the 2024 financial year.
The circular letter that was signed by the Minister of Finance on the 4th of January, we are here to disseminate it, to exchange with the authorities at the local level, to make sure that they understand what they are supposed to do when it comes to execution of their budget, and as well capture their difficulties so that next time we can better prepare. The circular letter will be oriented to issues coming from the local level with local solution proposed by the local authorities of the local levels themselves.
At the end of the workshop, the participants presented their different projects, but the councillors say their projects can only be attained if the government accompanies them.
And now we talk health. From Yaoundé, bedbugs seem to be invading some localities of the economic capital Douala. Residents of Koto and Lokpom in the Douala 5 subdivision have been urged to adopt healthy hygiene habits so as to limit the spread of bedbugs in their area. The call was made by the mayor for the Douala 5 municipality. It came after some persons in the two neighborhoods were bitten by the insects. Immaculate Fogwe with details.
Douala 5 council authorities raised an alarm following the outbreak of bedbug infestations in the Koto and Lokpom neighborhoods. We were alerted by some district medical officers that they have received cases of persons bitten by bedbugs. So we immediately identified the persons and where they live. It was then that we realized that they live in Koto and Lokpom neighborhoods respectively. The mayor urges the population not to panic as measures are being taken to prevent the bedbugs from spreading to other parts of the town, given that a team was sent to disinfect both houses. We just want the population to be extra cautious now. The insect has not yet spread all over. If you notice that your mattresses and sofas have bedbugs, do not throw them in the dustbin because while there, they can easily spread. He equally cautioned sellers of imported goods to report suspected cases while assuring them that appropriate public health measures and responses have been put in place to contain the bedbug infestation. I call on those who sell imported mattresses and sofas to be extra vigilant and report to us if they notice the items have these bedbugs on them. Our boys will immediately rush to disinfect the area. Bedbugs are small, flat, reddish brown wingless insects that infest beds, sofas, luggage and other furniture. Though they are not known to cause any illness, their bites causes discomfort, itching, anxiety and sleep disturbance. Few weeks back, residents of the Briqueterie neighborhood in Yaoundé 2 subdivision Central region expressed concerns following the invasion of bedbug in their neighborhood. The population are urged to adopt healthy hygiene habits.
In other news, pharmaceutical products worth 50 million francs CFA have been seized by elements of the motorized road peloton of Bonaberi in the Douala Force subdivision, according to the Chief Warrant Officer Gifford So, commander of the motorized road peloton of Bonaberi. The lorries that transported the medical products came in from the southwest region, and most of the drugs had already expired, as Manjikan Gibril tells us in the report which comes up next.
A variety of pharmaceutical products exposed at the esplanade of the motorized road peloton in Bonaberi, Douala. The drugs were seized after useful information was given to the security officials at the motorized road peloton. I received information from a patriotic citizen which enabled us to stop a lorry from the southwest region. During the search, we discovered drugs worth 50 million francs CFA. The drugs suspected to be coming from neighboring Nigeria were not in good state for consumption after joint check by security and health experts. After analyzing the situation with medical experts, it was made clear that most of the drugs are not good for the body, poorly produced, and their expiration date has been changed. The head of the motorized road peloton of the littoral region has this message for the population. We are reiterating on vigilance at the level of the population, and they should always get involved in giving us the necessary information needed. Security officers say the seized pharmaceutical products will be handed to medical professionals for onward destruction.
And now, following government's decision to increase the prices of super and diesel by 15%, President Paul Biya has signed two important decrees that was on February 21, aimed at mitigating the impact of these adjustments on households. The first decree increases the basic monthly remuneration of civil and military personnel by 5%. For me, Armstrong Sander now comes back to that presidential decree.
The first decree increased the basic monthly remuneration of civil servants and military personnel by 5%. This increase, which applies to the base salary, has been effective since February the 1st, 2024. The new salary scales induced by this increase were presented by the presidential text and concerns in particular staff covered by the Labour Code, civil servants of the police, prison administrators, magistrates, civil servants of other sectors, army and gendarmerie officials, and others. This is the second time in less than a year that the government of Cameroon has elevated the salary level in public service to respond to the cost of living. In March 2023, the increase was 5.2%, following an increase in fuel prices made a month later. The second decree concerns a 60.7% increase in the amount of family allowances paid to workers by the National Social Insurance Fund and the Ministry of Finance. This amount thus increases from 2,800 francs CFA to 4,500 francs CFA per dependent child per month. Concretely, the presidential decree will lead to an increase in the same rate, 60.7% of prenatal and maternity allowances. The government increases the price of super and diesel by 15%. Thus, according to our calculations, prenatal allowances will increase respectively from 25,000 francs CFA to 40,000 francs CFA, and maternity allowances from 33,600 francs CFA to 54,000 francs CFA, with the aim of mitigating the impact of the adjustment of fuel prices on the purchasing power of households in Cameroon. The government has initiated consultations with the private sector for an increase in the minimum wage and the reduction of certain taxes and custom regulations in the road transport sector.
And still on the economy, China is no longer the leading external trade partner of Cameroon. China got overthrown by the Netherlands, that is now the leader in external trade with Cameroon. This is the result of the 2022 Cameroon External Trade Report released by the National Institute of Statistics. The Netherlands traded with Cameroon to the volume of 932.1 billion francs CFA, occupying 26.8% of the Cameroonian market share. From me, I'm Trong Sanda once again.
With a 26.8% share of the Cameroonian market in 2022, the Netherlands overthrows China as the #1 trade partner of Cameroon. During the year 2022, Cameroon's 5 main clients captured 62% of the country's total exports, according to data revealed by the National Institute of Statistics in its report on Cameroon's foreign trade made public during this month of February 2022. These countries are the Netherlands, India, France, Spain and Italy, which purchase products from Cameroon of an overall value of some 2,276.9 billion francs CFA out of a total of 3,483.3 billion francs CFA, the total value of Cameroon's export in 2022. Out of these countries, the Netherlands stands as Cameroon's largest customer with some 26.8% market share for products worth 932.1 billion francs CFA imported from Cameroon during this period. The National Institute for Statistics reveals that the Netherlands gains some 14 percentage points while China loses more than 20 points compared to the previous year and is relegated to the 6th position on Cameroon's foreign trade. Export to the Netherlands mainly consists of 4 products, namely crude petroleum oil, raw cocoa beans, liquefied natural gas, and cocoa paste. These products represent some 97.2% of exports to the Netherlands in 2022. The Netherlands is followed by India, which captured 14.2% of Cameroon's export during the period indicated. France occupies the 3rd position with 9.9% market share. Spain and Italy closes the top 5 of Cameroon's main customers in 2022 with 8.5% and 6.5% of market shares respectively.
And now we talk sports. The head coach of the Super Falcons of Nigeria say a good result in Cameroon that will be today will give them an opportunity to have hopes of playing at the Olympic Games in Paris, France. Coach Randy Waldrum was speaking during the pre-match press conference at the Reunification Stadium in Banda, Douala. Smart Jikan Gabriel was there.
Echo of the Banda Reunification Stadium here in Douala. The indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon having their last training session ahead of their crunch encounter against the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Before this training session, a year at the Banda Omnisport Stadium, a pre-match press conference that took place saw the head coach of the indomitable Lionesses, Jean-Baptiste Bissek, who was accompanied by Falon Mefumetu. Both said they are set for this encounter, but again, the word reconstruction was re-echoed by the head coach of the indomitable Lionesses, Jean-Baptiste Bissek, who said he is working with a very young team and a team he expects to build. And no matter the situation, no matter the condition, they say the home game is going to be a match for them to pull the necessary goals ahead of the return leg game that will be coming up in Nigeria. It should be recalled that out of the 23 players called up, only 4 are still absent due to flight complication. But as we speak, the indomitable Lionesses say they are prepared for the encounter against the Super Falcons. Before the Lionesses had their last training session on the turf of the Banda Omnisport Stadium, the Super Falcons of Nigeria also had their last training session with the likes of Asisa Toshola, Chiamaka Nandozie, who were the best players in Africa. All were present, and in the pre-match press conference, Coach Randy Waldrum of the Super Falcons made mention of the fact that he is working with new players and the players he expects them to deliver here in Cameroon and also Nigeria. It is the first leg game that will be coming up this Friday, and after that, the two teams will meet again in Nigeria. Raoul Tabufwe, Smart Njikan Gabriel for Equinoxe Television News, Banda Omnisport Stadium, Douala.
Thanks, Sumaji Gabriel. And that sports piece brings us to the end of this edition of the news. Thank you, viewers, for always being there. Our programs continue. Equinoxe comes up at 7 p.m. and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Enjoy your weekend in the company of interesting programs on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.